Well, I used to keep my money in a cookie jar. It was shaped like a cat, it was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, her hair is as black as an alleyway, and it used to be red, and it used to be blonde. Truth is, her hair changes color all the time. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, I'm staring at her shoulder.
We're now live. Look at us.
We're live.
We're live again, baby.
I take my glasses off when we go live because I see your glasses and the reflection of.
I know. You know what's funny is you're right. I'm taking mine off too, but I can't see the chats, so that's the only thing.
Well, you got to keep your glasses on then because
somebody has to see the chat.
Yeah, I've tried to figure out the chats and I can't, and I'm not really good for much besides talking, so I'm going to stick with talking.
Yes. I understand. I was just checking to make sure our sync is okay. So you're actually, it sounds like you're not a Japanese movie this week.
That's good. Yeah. That's good because I don't speak Japanese and I can't.
Neither do they. I mean, well, maybe they do.
I can't grow to 10 times my normal size and destroy a city.
That's right. Godzilla versus Kong. Good
now,
stuff.
if you give me a lot to drink, I can destroy a room. Yeah.
So we had a nice little conversation here. We were talking about comedians, poor comedians. We were
talking about subscriptions too. Like,
yes,
in this day and age, people say, "I want to get like a King Kong Godzilla movie." I was like, why doesn't HBO just rent it? I don't have a subscription to HBO, but I'd pay them the $5 to see the movie, and I'm sure millions of people would. And I was thinking, the subscription thinking is so last century.
But remember this about what HBO is doing too, is like they're only showing it for 30 days, and then after like it would be a theatrical release.
Right.
After 30 days, it's not on HBO Max anymore. Then you have to buy it if you want to see it. So it's kind of like they're doing it.
Rent it, but I mean, just like it's just so the thinking's not. The young people today, they're so used to getting things now. They want it now.
Right.
And so and quite honestly, why can't they have it? I like that. I wanted it now when I was young. I just couldn't get it. I would have taken it now. I like their whole attitude. I like owning less. I like wanting it now. I like toast and avocado. I mean, that's one of the greatest things the young people gave us. A cup of coffee, toast and avocado. What's up? You look very perplexed.
Oh yeah, this one's still live. Okay, no, it was just doing something weird. I couldn't see the chat all of a sudden. I'm sorry. I apologize. So I checked something, and then all of a sudden it looked like it was trying to end our stream. I'm like, whoa, YouTube, calm down. Philip Gussman, how you doing? Is it Gooseman or Gussman? Gooseman?
Gusman.
Mr. Gussman. Hello, good morning. Sorry. For a second, I thought we were off the air in the middle of your story. Which would
That's how interesting you found my story, and I'm really, really touched as my friend that you found me that interesting.
Tell me that
you're barely listening now. What are you doing?
I'm itching my belly. I got a belly itch. You ever get a belly itch? I guess I shouldn't get it on air.
You were into it, man. It's like we weren't here anymore. You were just like a big bear.
Yeah. And all right, so Godzilla versus Kong.
To be honest, it's a little bit lower than where I would think your belly would be. So it didn't look good, Mikey.
So yes, so you're not down with the streaming model. I get it.
I just want it, man. I just want to see the movie. I don't want all the.
Don't you have HBO?
No, I have Hulu and Netflix and YouTube TV.
But HBO is by far the best one. I mean, like without a doubt.
One though.
Huh?
It's like Hulu's like $12. HBO is like $80.
No. Don't you have cable?
No.
Oh. Well, I mean, if you had cable, I think you can add it through one of your TV subscriptions for like $8.99 or something.
have to cipher through all the different channels I have and cancel a few.
You do,
So,
but HBO Max has the best. I'm telling you, like without a doubt, it has the best movies.
I'm going
Like,
to take your word for it and pull the trigger this week. I've been putting it off, but I'll pull the trigger this week.
you wait. I'm telling you, you're gonna start going through the movies, going, "Holy smoke!" And even now, with all the ones I have, because Netflix. Let's be honest, Netflix movies are, you know.
Netflix first came out. Netflix was rocking.
Well,
It
now
was,
yeah,
they slipped. They definitely slipped. It was before there was any competition.
right,
You know,
right.
Hulu was really cheesy when it started. And so Netflix came in as like this class operation, and then Hulu upped its game and added television channels to it. It's a whole different ball game.
Yeah,
You know,
Hulu's very distinct because of the television aspect, right? Because you can go there and see it just focuses on that, which is great.
it's very interesting about what we're about to go through as people get back to playing music and stuff after this pandemic. In that, a few years ago when Michael Jackson died, my friend Shamar Allen, we've talked about Shamar many times, incredibly talented young man here in New Orleans. He said to me, Uncle Paul, you think there's ever going to be anybody as big as Michael Jackson? And I said, no, because when he was starting out there with 3 networks, there were 3 choices. That means at least a third of the country was watching him, if not more, every time he came on TV. And at that time, this was like 6 years ago when he asked me whenever Michael died, there was YouTube, but not like it is today. And now the pandemic has really shown musicians how to just get around everything because they had to stay alive and they had to feed their souls by playing and go directly to get their just like Alex McMurray, I find is very effective with his Mr. Tuesday Night Show.
He certainly is.
You know,
Every time I
people
turn
talk
on
about-
Facebook, it's like he's playing a show. So he's doing very well.
Well, he works a lot, but he's got a Tuesday night show that people like talk about like it's a variety show on television, And now Alex is extremely funny and witty and all that, and he can make that fly. And his wife Courtney's a great artist, and they have a really cool little cheesy '70s set design behind him that says Alex with sparkly letters. It's really great. If you had Kramer come on as a guest, it'd be perfect episode. But anyway,
Right. It's like Birthday Boy kind of thing. It almost looks like.
anyway, it's great. So there's a whole new way of doing things, and it's going to be interesting to see what's next. That's all. I mean, here we are doing this. I mean, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, riding on a tour bus together, somebody would have said you'll be having coffee in the morning and people will be watching you have coffee together. You'd say, can I have another hit?
Right. I mean, and which universe are we talking about here, right? I mean, it's like, not to mention at that point, when we were kids, this wasn't even a thought, the democratization of
No.
being able to broadcast this way wasn't even.
No, what we have in front of us, what we're doing a show on is more technology than they had when they sent a man to the moon.
Yes, right. Yeah, so here we are. We're on our own moon. You and I, we're on one of the moons of Jupiter, Saturn. One of them didn't one of them have
for Easter, by the way? Did you have any of the kids?
Yeah. Allie came into town, so that was kind of nice. I spent the Easter working with Freddie Blue Band, though.
Recording.
So recording, yeah. I spent all weekend. Yeah, it was fun. Nice job, Freddie. If you're listening right now, you did good work. You did good stuff. He did good.
Good. And my friend John Herbert's playing harmonica with that band.
You know what? That is the nicest band I've ever met. There's a little guy named Sam playing drums. I don't know if you ever met this guy.
No.
Sam Colgate, I think. Yeah, Colgate, because it's the same as a toothbrush. Anyway, young guy, sweetest guy I ever met. I'm telling you, it's like he's a millennial that I can get along with. Wow.
Freddie's a sweet guy. So it's great that he's attracted a vibe of sweet players around him.
Yeah, the bass player. I mean, everybody's just they're all they're a fun group of guys. They're really
nice,
easy to get along with.
I got together with Allison, with my wife's family. Some of them, they have a big family, and we're still keeping it down with COVID. But a couple of her sisters and a couple of their husbands, and it was fun. And as we were having, the food was being served, and I came up with this, joke. But it's like I got a theory about Easter, and it got their attention. But they're all Catholics. And by the end of the story, I had cleared the room. Everybody hurriedly filled their plates and left. It didn't get a lot of laughs, so right. I could very well clear what small audience we have with the story, but just have a sense of humor about it. I'm not putting down anybody's religion, whatever. But let's just say it was a business trip that got out of hand. You know, Jesus and the disciples, they tell their families, hey, we're going on this little business trip for Passover. We're going to just have a little man trip, you know, have a meal, have a couple of drinks. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. They go, right? Just the guys. They have a couple of drinks, and after a couple of drinks, some female friends that one of the guys knows shows up. Oh, Mary's here. Well, I didn't know she was coming, but hey, since you're here, bring your friends in. You know, let's hang out. Let's have a few drinks. And everybody just gets blotto, and they literally pass out in the banquet hall on the floor. And they wake up in the morning as the sun's coming up, and Jesus is the first one. He sits up and he grabs his head. He's got a hangover, and he goes, "Oh Christ!" And somebody says, "Hey, who's that?" And he goes, "It's Jesus." And they start and they tell the story, you know, oh my God, what a night we had. And then they go back home. Well, then the next year they go back. And of course, like every business trip, they go, oh man, last year was out of control. My God, we had such a good time. We got drunk, we passed out. Jesus says, yeah, I mean, I was crucified. It was just crazy. Then the third year they go back and Jesus can't make it this time. He's tied up. Something happened. Maybe the Romans killed him. I don't know. But he can't make it. And a couple of the disciples can't make it either. So a few new guys are there. And the old guys are trying to impress, you know, like the old salesmen do at the business trip. They're like, oh, man, you should have been here for the first one. It was just crazy. It was out of control, man. I mean, Jesus got crucified. He was so blotto. And the young ones go home and they go, geez, they crucified Jesus. Jesus. And then by the 10th year, none of the originals are there. And the guy stands up and he goes, the original meeting was very dangerous times for our company. In fact, Jesus was crucified, and here we are, you know, 2,000 years later, just eating chocolate bunnies to celebrate the crucifixion of Jesus when maybe he just got drunk. I'm not saying.
You know, you've heard that. That reminds me of an experiment they did with monkeys with the banana. Have you ever heard of that? You think you know what I'm talking about? So they did a thing with with monkeys. And they taught them to not, what was it? They shocked a monkey that went and got a banana, right? So somehow they'd gotten all of these new, trying to remember exactly how it goes, because what it is they trade out 5 monkeys, right? That's what it is. So you got 10 monkeys, 5 of them, and they put the bananas in the middle. The monkeys go try to get the bananas. They shock the monkeys. Then they chain out 5 monkeys with 5 new monkeys. They put the bananas out. Nobody goes and gets the bananas. But it's like, well, wait a second. Only 5 of them knew what was going on before, but there's some kind of communication or something going on. So anyway, it turns out, you know, it's a strange thing.
So what you're
I don't
saying
know.
is you're saying the disciples were monkeys.
Yes. I was kind of saying that the disciples are monkeys.
I followed the story really to a T.
Yeah.
I got it. The point was the disciples were monkeys.
Yeah. You know, my mom is really, when I stopped going to Easter, that was one of the ones I could choose if I wanted to go to, you know. Christmas Mass you had to go to, Catholic, you know.
Well, growing
I
up,
had to go there.
yeah, you had to go to Mass. That was your mother said you had to go, and then if you didn't, she would wrap you in the back of the head with something hard.
Yeah, so up till, I think at 14, I was given the choice of whether or not I was going to go to Easter, finally, you know. Before that, it was always dress up nice, go to Easter, do Mass. And so, of course, I chose not. And, you know, I think ever since then, my mom's convinced I'm going to hell. I missed my 15th Easter.
You know,
and
as I've gotten older, I've gotten much more accepting of the different religious terminologies. You know, I meditate a lot. So if Ram Dass is talking about Zazen or if he's talking about Christ, I'm going along for the ride. You know, it's if we're all one, then all the stories are one. Whether or not they're true is irrelevant. I once shot irrelevant.
Right.
My pajamas, how I got there, I don't know. But but what were we saying? What did you just say?
About when I was 15, I was going to hell.
So I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, you were studying. You were Ramadasan. You know,
got all off into Ram Dass land. But you know, at 15 is like the age when you start questioning shit. You're sort of like becoming an adult. You know, it's not just Jesus you're mad at. You know, you're 14, you're 15, you're pissed at your parents, you're pissed at your teachers. You don't want to listen to anybody. So of course,
we started studying world history at that point too. So you find out about the Inquisition and some of these other things, and you start going, "Who are these people?" And I just use it as an excuse to go, "Yeah, I don't know about these people. They killing people. Yeah, I don't get it."
Yeah, I know what I was gonna say. So, like, I've gotten more tolerant as I've gotten older, but when I was young, I was really, like, one to tweak people that were hyper religious, and my sisters were hyper religious, and my mother was hyper religious, all Catholics and really into it. And so in, like, the '80s, I guess it was, when the Madrigoria came up with the visions
Uh-huh.
of the Virgin Mother at Madrigoria. So one of my sisters had gone, and I'm a young punk, and she's coming to visit my mom at my mom's house, and a couple of my sisters are there, and she's brought back a picture of a rose wherein you can see the face of Christ in the rose if you look. And so they're looking, and of course they're going ooh and ah, and I come in from work as they're ooh and ah over the rose, and my mother, who was always hoping that I would see the light and find Jesus, she goes, show him, he'll see it, he has to see it. And my sister Nani, who knows I'm just a smart ass punk, even at 60, I'm still a smart ass punk. But at 19 or 20, I was definitely a smart ass.
I go, yeah.
Like, no, he's just not gonna. And my mom goes, no, show it to him. So they give it to me, and she goes, what do you see? And I'm looking, and clearly it says you can see the face of Jesus, right? So I'm looking, and I don't see, like, I'm like this, and then my eyes get big, and I said, oh my God. And my mom said, you see it? And I said, is that Jimmy Durante? She hit me, snatched the picture away, and said, get out of here, you fool.
Nice. Oh, by the way, Randy Baker, you're correct. I still do not have my mug. I'm using this
Oh,
mug. You were
Mike,
correct
right
to see
in front
that.
of me. Look, the mug in question sits right in front of where I do the show so that I won't forget to bring it to you. And then
Well,
I forget.
and then of course but I think you should put a little shot of coffee in there, just
You know what's
every
interesting
week,
about
every
this
day.
mug? I don't know if you can see from where you are, but it's a can of sorts, but it kind of also looks like a pair of jeans. So if the artist could make a mold of you scratching your belly button that you as a lid,
You hear that,
that would be a
Randy?
great cut for you.
There you go. And then wait, Allison's here again, Miss Dewar. She's very hurricane partying. Grew in the town. Right, this is the part, Easter as Zombie Jesus Day, which is what I had called it too. I used to tease my daughters during Easter and tell them that Zombie Jesus, that thank God the Easter Bunny came, because if he doesn't come, Zombie Jesus comes. Like, if you weren't a good kid, Zombie Jesus shows up, and Zombie Jesus is pretty scary. I kept telling them, stuff like that when they were young.
You were such a good father.
Oh, I'm definitely tip
Father,
top
father
here.
of the year, really.
That's right. And she says, of course, not to her Catholic parents, but I think I might have slipped and said that one day at Easter dinner. And my mom was so heartbroken that it wasn't even funny.
Oh, no, of course not.
I thought it would be funny, but she was so heartbroken by it that I just felt bad afterwards. Like, I'm just kidding. Jesus wasn't a zombie. I'm sure he wasn't a zombie, babe. I promise, Mom. I mean, I can't really see Jesus eating brains. Jesus not eating brains. It's okay. But yeah,
No, I don't think Jesus would eat brains.
I don't think so.
I had a friend actually who was an EMT. This is years ago, and this is in the '80s, and he went on vacation to Vietnam and or whatever, Thailand, whatever, and he saw monkey brains on the menu at the restaurant. And the guy was a pretty adventurous eater, so he said, "I ordered it." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "How was it?" He goes, "I don't know," because you know how when you order lobster in a restaurant, they bring you the lobster first to see if you approve. He said,
Yeah.
"Well, I ordered it," and the waiter nods and he walks away, and then he comes out walking a monkey. And he walks the monkey up to my table, and he goes, "This is this cute little monkey." And he goes, "Will this do?" And I went, "No, I want to change my order.
What country is this? What-
I don't want to meet him first. Like I had a hamburger yesterday. I didn't go and pet the cow first at the farm."
No, you don't want to see the. We drove by cows yesterday, and my daughter's going, "Look how cute the cows are." I'm like, "Yeah, but they smell horrible." Just trying to find anything
Anything.
just to go. Yeah, but we can eat them.
She's not a vegan, right? She's a vegetarian.
She's a vegetarian. Yeah, she wanted to stop because we drove into Saint Bernard and showed her where she grew up yesterday and all that stuff. As we, when we drove through those trees, the trees in Saint Bernard, the famous ones you drive under, and it's like
Yeah,
a canopy of oak
down the
trees.
road. Yeah.
Yeah, it's down the road. So, and what we've noticed is that some of them must have been taken out by some of these hurricanes because it wasn't quite as long as it was. It was kind of a drag.
It's still there. It's still pretty.
It's still there. Yeah, it's still
It's
pretty.
a little bit thinned out, and it is definitely shorter than it was, before all the storms.
Yeah.
But
So we just had a flurry of comments here. So let's see. Sandy McKinney says good morning.
nice. Sandy's there.
Chris Finney says he's learning a lot about fatherhood. I'm sure Chrissy could put some kind of belly scratching Buddha on the top of that mug. So maybe a belly scratching Buddha. Chicago Lou, as a Catholic, that is why I believe in zombies. Why eat brains when you can make wine from water? I agree. You're right, Chicago Lou.
That's good stuff,
That's good stuff. And then Chris says Porges. Were we talking about a street? I don't know why.
No, that was that's where the tree line that you were talking about, that tree road. It's down.
Oh, gotcha.
I called it down the road. That's a city term.
Oh, is he telling me that that's like out past Violet is Porges? Is that the name of the?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know. I was thinking Porges Street downtown.
No. I think that's what's below Violet is Porges.
Gotcha.
I think.
I should know that. I was out in Chalmette for 15 years or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but you were in your studio.
Yeah, I didn't.
You barely came up for air to even do anything.
No, but we used to go drive through that and smoke weed, like because my mom lived about 3 miles from there. So at the time, I think I moved back home because decided I wanted to be a musician. So I moved back home for a while. Which you decide you want to be a musician, you got to move back home for a while.
Well, or live on a bench,
Or live on a bench. So, but I do remember we'd have to leave to go smoke weed, and we didn't want to smoke it in the backyard, just being respectful. So we'd go driving through that thing to smoke weed in the middle of the night. It's kind of funny to see that car pass by about 3 times a night as we go, hey, let's go take a ride through the trees, which basically meant let's go smoke a joint.
Yeah, now you do that down there, and you'd be under surveillance, and they'd think that you were down there to, rob.
Probably so. Yeah, talking to the cows. We go there. My daughter was, the trees are nice, but look at the cows. So she's.
Yeah.
And we were like, look at the Murphy oil. Those cows are gonna have 3 heads. Just wait.
Yeah.
The little baby cow.
Well, yeah, we are. We are the fossil fuel kings of America, are we not?
We are the fossil fuel. Everything was rainbow colored in my house. All the mud. When we came back after Katrina, all the mud that was in the house.
From the oil slicks, sure.
Yeah. Everything's rainbow colored. It was like, wow, there's a lot of oil in the air. We drove past that house. I feel sorry for my old neighbors because it's still there.
Oh, wow.
And I did enough work to make it compliant, but I hadn't had the money to finish it. So it's a big eyesore. It still has a big X on the outside with the dead body count and shit.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Oh, man, that's heavy.
I know. So, my neighbors, I felt bad for them. I drove by just kind of hiding, hoping none of them recognized me. They're probably all new people by this point. All my old neighbors were cool, but I think half of them died off. What are you going to do? Life.
How do you hang on to the land?
Well, because it's not worth. I took an SBA loan against it, and it's not worth what the SBA loan is. So, the idea was, at some point, I will finish it and rent it out, and that will help me in my retirement and old age. But, dude, shit keeps happening. It's crazy, after 2012, and now we're in COVID, and I don't remember all this shit when we were young. I mean, I don't remember growing up.
The adults, they didn't let us know.
Yeah, I guess you're right. The adults kept it all to themselves.
There's a great version of Southern Nights that WWOZ plays from time to time of Aaron Neville. Alan Toussaint, just at the piano, elegantly playing, and he just begins talking about as when he was growing up. When I was a little boy, Daddy would put us in the car and he'd take us for a ride out to the country. And he imitates the country accents and the folks that barely spoke English, and we could barely understand them. And then at night, we'd sit with him and they'd tell stories, and amazing stories. And he goes, "This is when I was a boy, before I knew that adults lied."
Right. Before I knew about, that. Is it lying though?
Well, I mean, it is. It's what we used to call white lies. You want to shield your. I would imagine. I
Right.
don't have kids, but I wanted to shield my nieces and nephews from as much unpleasantness as I could, and I imagine their parents. It's that times 1,000. You know.
Me and my daughter were talking yesterday about her path. Katrina hit when she was 5. She had to move out. She'd come from a Montessori school. Now she's suddenly in a public school. But how all these experiences help shape the person that you are. And, she's got no regrets. She's happy with the choices that she made or that we had to make in her behalf, And, you learn a lot from public school. She'd come from a Montessori school and she was terrified when she first got there. Of course, she was in first grade, but I remember they said that the first month she went into the nurse's office and ate lunch because she told me yesterday that she would get sick. Like when lunch was coming, she would suddenly start to get sick and throw up before she was
Wow.
so nervous about being around other people. And
You know,
it's kind of funny,
man, anxiety
but
is a bitch.
yeah. And in the long run, that was a good thing for her, she said. I mean, she had to get used to people and
Good for her.
get used to that experience. And
Hmm.
we were talking, my wife and stuff was talking about how much she really tried to shield her from that. And I was like, I was always okay with it. I thought it would be a good lesson for you. And she had a lot of rough times in high school as well she was obviously a better player than some of the other players, and she worked really hard to gain it, and she'd gotten ranked. But then politics kind of played into it. There was another player that one of the local MTSU was looking at, and she had a twin sister, and it's a long, weird politic thing, but they wanted to get the sister. They wanted to get the main player, but they had to get the sister too. So the coach gave her some of Allie's minutes, good bit of Allie's minutes, just because the college coach had asked her, so she'd get a little experience. And we were laughing about it the other day because that girl still doesn't play. And, Allie was just MVP of her championship thing. And I said, yeah, it all works out, sweetheart. I mean,
Yeah.
in the end, at the time, it sucked. I know. And I felt for you having to go through it. But once again, while you were going through it, I was thinking, this is a good lesson to pick
Now,
up young.
I've had instances in my career where musicians I've worked with or musicians I've even tried to help have decided that they didn't like me and wanted to trash me to friends and fans alike. And I could see in some instances like people that used to be really friendly when they saw me were just had that guarded, still like smiling hello, but a little guardedness, like, okay, I know what's going on, because I know the person and I know what they're doing. But I always felt like, well, the fact that you're reacting like that is more of a reflection on you than it is on me because that's not true. And you didn't bother to ask me if it was true. And secondly, if you're really into that kind of energy, then I'm kind of glad we're not going to be so close after all because I don't want people that need to feed on negative energy. It took me years and years to escape my own negative energy of having
Right.
grown up the way I grew up, beaten and beat down, and carrying a chip on my shoulder into the world. So I had enough of my own negative energy, and the older I got, the more I was able to say, okay, well, that's not doing me any good.
Right. Right.
And then when it got to a point where I could see that, it made. Well, I'm not saying it didn't hurt my feelings to see people that I dug suddenly be distanced, but at the same time, you have to go, well, that I first of all, you're entitled to like who you like and believe who you believe, and if that gets you off, that if you need to believe that, then great. You now have somebody who wants to supply you that energy and have fun.
You're right. Right. I mean, I think about social media a lot, and part of me, I think the anonymous part of it, although, Facebook is not really anonymous and people don't have a problem.
Allison always says, why? Because she doesn't do Facebook, and she's like, man, I don't like it. It's so negative. I said, it's whatever you want it to be.
Right.
It's just like life. If you want your life to be peaceful, then live a peaceful life. If you want your Facebook page to be peaceful, then be nice and delete. There's a delete button. So if anybody gets ugly on your virtual live page, like it's my virtual life. And
Right.
someone once told me, you don't have any right to delete me. I'm like, of course I do. This isn't real life. I didn't kill you. I didn't come to your house and kill you because I disagreed with your political opinion. I deleted you from my Facebook thread, which I have every right in the world to do. That's why they have a delete button.
I like the way you look at it. It's like, yeah, whatever.
And then he wrote to me privately and chastised me. He was an old friend, like I hadn't talked to in a while. And I went, you know what? There's an extra added feature where I can block you, which I'm now going to do. But in real life, I still love you. And if you ever want to sit and have a beer, I'd be glad to do that. I just don't have time to let your negative energy be my negative energy. Enjoy your negative energy. Go roll around in it, man, like a pig. Go get in your negative energy and wallow in it. Some people like horror movies, so they live horrible lives. Some people like soap operas, so they live dramatic lives. I like a comedy. Now I was younger, I liked an action movie, but I'm a little too young to dive out of the airplane onto the mountaintop. I mean, I'm a little too old now, so.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily have to, vicariously live through the movies. I could. Speaking of which, I just saw a movie.
When I was a kid, I didn't just have to watch Batman. I actually, I love Batman so much. Luis doesn't even know how much I love Batman. I had a Batman costume. We were really poor. So it was a blue towel that looked like the Bat cape, because back then it was kind of a bluish gray cape.
Right.
A little mask, a little cheap mask my mom had got for, $1, 50 cents, whatever. And when nobody was looking, I'd play Batman. We lived in one of those 2-story New Orleans houses, really big old houses, it was a tenement, but it was a big house. And the stairway went right up through the center of it. And so I would tie my mom's clothesline to the top of the banister, and then I'd drop it to the floor. And then I would hang on the outside of the banister, had a little lip of stair like this. So I could put my feet on that little lip of stair and hang on to the banister and hold on to the rope and climb the side of the stairs like I was Batman going up, And then one time I was doing it. Now the stair would go like this. So it wasn't just like a straight shot up. It was like on an angle. So most of the time the rope was on an angle. And I was going up and I thought to myself, man, Batman never hangs on to the railing. Batman just hangs onto the rope, And so I did what Batman did on TV. I gave the rope a hard tug to make sure it was not going to come loose. It was solid. I tied a good knot, and I let go of the banister and held onto the rope. Only at my young age, I think I was like 9 or 10. No, I was 9, 8. I hadn't factored in that Batman was on a straight drop down. So when he go to building, he's on a straight drop down. All I got to do is when I let go of the banister, I was on like a 45-degree incline with the rope to where it was tied. So I swung out. I hit the wall. I swung back. I hit the stairs. And then I dropped headfirst into a clothes hangers that my mom had next to the laundry room and shredded my head open. My mom comes running in from her Pocoquino game, and there I am with my head stuck in a box of clothes hangers. And there's blood coming out of me. She's like, "You crazy little sucker, what'd you do now?"
How old were you?
Let's see, I lived in that house. We moved out when I was 10. I had to be like 8 years old, I guess.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I remember being 8 and 9 years old, and who my guy was?
On TV.
My guy was Bruce Lee. It's like I wanted to be Bruce Lee because my dad took me to all these Bruce Lee movies, and he loved Bruce Lee. So of course, you want to be your dad, right? So I was like, yeah, I want to be Bruce Lee, and so I think I did that till I was about 14 years old, and decided that I didn't like getting hit.
Yeah, it never worked for me. I'd got hit plenty when I was a kid, and I decided there was any sport.
Me too. I mean, I did it for years. Yeah, but. I got to be 14, 15 years, and suddenly I'm fighting these guys who are seniors and stuff. You start to move up, and they start fighting, and it's like, the guy demolished me. That was no fun.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
I think I took, I think you had to take like a boxing lesson. When I was a kid, I went to Trinity Episcopal School, had like a summer camp for the underprivileged kids who lived on the other side of Magazine Street. And it's really, well, I'm not making fun. That's where I first was on stage. I played the Artful Dodger in Oliver when I was in like the 3rd grade or whatever. And one of the things was they had self-defense classes, and you had a choice between judo and boxing. In my first boxing class, I just remember that the guy hit me square in the nose. And I didn't like feel anything or say anything for a few minutes, but then I wanted to kill him. And they went, judo.
Calm down. Calm down a little bit. Let's back it up. I saw this guy once, self-defense teacher, and he had this great advice, and it actually worked for my daughter. if you're getting attacked, instead of the fear that you feel from being attacked, you have to put yourself in the mind space that someone's attacking someone that you love very dearly. And if you can do that, then you can take control of the situation and literally, fight for your. And it happened. Lindsay when she first got to New Orleans, she got a job at House of Blues, and she would walk that walk to Canal Place.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But she'd do it by herself sometimes when she was feeling impatient. We'd warn her about it all the time. And she was just like, I'm fine, blah, blah, blah. One of the times, somebody jumps out of that little alleyway,
Yep.
attacked her. And she said that she imagined that they were hurting Allie. And she took her knee, and she's a tall girl. I think she lifted him off the ground with her knee to the bottom sections or whatever.
Wow.
And the guy just doubled over in pain. Then she did like a number like this to get her arm loose, and it actually hit him in the side of the face, and then she took off.
Nice.
So she got herself free. But she told me afterwards that it was because, thank you for the advice, because she didn't feel fear. She felt anger.
Nice.
And, it's hard to do that, but if you can put yourself in that mindset, it can help. Let's see, the studio or the nicotine sauna, Chris says. Yeah, it used to be a nicotine sauna in my studio, huh? I just realized that the other day. I used to smoke cigarettes constantly.
Oh, my God. You would light one while one was still in your hand.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was one burning, and I'm like, hey, Mike, you still got one burning.
To be honest, it was a lot more acceptable back then.
Yes.
Yes, it was just. I think pretty much every studio I ever worked in when I was young, the engineer smoked. And most of them,
that kind of job,
for that matter.
Right. It's that kind of job. You just kind of, I don't know. It's just the one kind of, you're trying to stay focused.
Hours,
Yeah.
Whatever you do to focus for hours. And some people it's coffee, and back then especially it was cigarettes.
Mm-hmm. I can focus without cigarettes now. All right, let's see. Proud to say Paul and I have blocked some of the same people. I'll still see them, but I don't have to listen to them online. Philip Gussman. He said, oh my gosh, at least the hangers broke your fall. We're all lucky to be alive still. Yes, we are. You and your poor mother. My current 7-year-old would totally do this. It's a good thing I have headphones on right now, so he can't hear me. This is Alex.
My mom, I was 10 of 11. So by the time my mom got to me, it was like, Ma, I hurt myself. Are you bleeding? Because if you're not, I'm watching TV. I really don't bother me. But I was an unlucky kid. Like the hanger thing was my own doing, I'll admit. But I was sitting in an easy chair in the same house. And like I said, it was a great old New Orleans house, but when we lived in it, it was a tenement. Like my brother sent me a picture recently, and there used to be linoleum floors that had been ripped up, and it was just like old gray wood floors, The house was just an old gray wood house. I looked at it, I was like, there's no paint on the house. And my brother looked at me and goes, we lived in a tenement. Where were you, man? I'm sitting in the easy chair, and the big giant New Orleans style mantelpiece behind me with the big mirror and the banisters, and the shelving. Well, those things aren't built into the wall. They sit on top of the shelf, and then they're sort of nailed to the wall, which in our house's case was old and rotten. And the thing fell on my head, the whole mantelpiece, the mirror, the bars, everything. I didn't know that my younger brother, Johnny, was there, and he started to fall, and he's tried to hold it, but he's all of like 5 years old, the thing. And it came smashing down on my head, and I was bleeding from the head. Like I had a major concussion, stitches, the whole deal. My mother walks in the room, she sees it, and without a word, man, she'd been through this 10 times before, seen worse than this shit. Scoops me up and runs 6 blocks to Sarah Mayo Hospital with me in her arms. Hey, no ambulance. No, don't call anybody.
No.
It's 6 blocks, man. I can do that in my sleep. I've had 10 before him. Come on, let's just get him down there.
It's funny how you block that stuff from your memory. I broke like so many bones when I was young, just doing crazy shit myself. Like we were doing BMX bike racing for a while, and somehow I landed on my front tire and it flipped over, and I broke both my hands.
Oh,
both of my freaking hands.
That's bad. And I don't even want to.
Yeah, it wasn't no fun.
Period. Somebody loved you during the healing period, is all I can say.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. There was because my mom, of course, offered to shower me, which was like no. So at the time, whenever one of her male friends would come over, I'd get them to give me a hand with the thing because I just couldn't have my mom. I was 14 years. No, mom's not. No.
Oh, it's all rugged.
Yeah.
The whole, there's a visual picture in my mind now.
That you
I
can't get
hope
rid
not to
of.
carry beyond this conversation.
And
Now, I've never broken any bones, but I've had a lot of head trauma in my life.
oh,
I remember
imagine that. I'm sorry.
one time on the bus, and this wasn't head trauma, but my brother Andrew was really handy. And we've talked about the nun bus, the bus that Cowboy Mouth bought from the Little Sisters of the Poor. So it had seats. My brother Andrew took out some seats and he put in a table that he built, a wooden pine table, and two benches so that we could sit four people and play cards, eat, whatever. But the construction was that there was a little angle piece coming out to make sure that it stayed in place. And then you had to sort of slide in. And I forgot the angle piece one day and I hit my knee so hard on the piece of wood under the table that all of a sudden the whole place went black, right? And I wake up and I'm on the coffee table convulsing. I'm having a seizure. And Griff and my ex are laughing. They're like, stop fooling around. My ex was very sensitive to me,
Yes,
my
she
knee.
was very sensitive.
She was really is. I look back on just how sensitive. For a time, she was our tour manager. And one day, we were in Dallas and we're waiting for a flight. And as we always were when Jenny Says was happening, we were always traveling. So I'm exhausted. And I put my suitcase down and I go to sleep. And I wake up and the entire waiting area is clear. There's nobody there. I go to the counter and say, excuse me, what happened to flight 191 to Dallas? They go, oh, that got moved to another terminal. The band left me. The crew left me. Most importantly, our tour manager left me, who was my ex. Now, you would think you should have taken this as a sign.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of signs I ignored.
But the funny thing is that a tour manager would have stayed there under normal conditions, being your wife or not. The tour manager's got to make sure
justice is blind. Love is mean as a motherfucker.
Yes, it is. Yeah. By the way, Mark Membrilla, yes, you're right about the politics in youth sports. I'm sorry, it's an old comment that he put up there because we went through it. The weirdest thing about it is the parents, you think you're friends with these parents, but you're not, because the only thing that anybody's really interested in is making sure that their kid can play over your kid. And
look, I'm going to have to confess something to you because I don't have a kid. I understand the bitches about the politics of youth sports. In my case, I didn't have a father, and my older brothers were out digging the world by the time I got to Little League. I didn't know anything. I was the strikeout king. And thanks to the politics of youth sport, I played very little.
And that was a good thing for you.
Oh, I had a great time sitting on the bench in my uniform. I love this warm, cozy little wool uniform, and I love the knee socks. They look so cool, If they called my name to get in the game, there was sheer panic, First of all, I was going to right field. There was playing any position that mattered. I was going to right field because very few people hit out there.
Right.
And
so you weren't the shortstop or the catcher, you're saying? They
tried me at catcher. And I think at 19-0, they pulled me. And I did have to pitch one game, and it was the most horrifying, most horrifying story of my childhood. So horrifying that I can't even share it to this day. I've never shared it with even a psychiatrist. Suffice it to say, I was not meant to be on the mound.
Right. Can you imagine? They do that to the presidents. I always thought that's such a cruel thing. Because they throw them out there, and these guys have not had a chance to do a warm-up pitch or anything. Probably haven't thrown a ball in 30 years. And then it's like, we're going to put you in front of the whole world and then throw that ball over the plate. I feel it's one of those moments that I always kind of feel bad for the.
I was never meant for that. The athletic moment was. I'm a huge football fan. I have behind my bar a picture of Peyton Manning, who's one of my favorite football players. I'm a big Manning fan.
I saw your post, by the way. That was really funny with him going,
Omaha. You'll feel that way. The picture, he's pointing right at you, and I feel like it's behind my bar. Every time I see it, I feel like Peyton's saying, you need a drink. And I'm like, it's Peyton. I can't say no.
But the part on the Facebook, they had me like, Omaha, which is always as,
Yeah, and one of my friends who doesn't know football was like, well, since when do you respond to Omaha? I don't explain it. I just said I respond to anything for.
All-star left field grass picker, he says. Mark's telling you, that was you.
No, left field was terrible. Left field is where balls got hit.
Okay.
I played in an adult league when right at the start of Cowboy Mouth. I had a $3,500 publishing advance for Jet Black and Jealous, which I used very intelligently to buy a 1978 Volkswagen van.
Actually, it's smart, right?
1992. No, it's not smart.
It's a
It,
vehicle.
it lasted me 6 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But for those 6 months, the baseball team would pile into my van and we'd go to the park with our alcohol and stuff. And mostly me and another friend were there to drink. We would sit at the end of the bench and drink and refuse to go in. And then one game, somebody got hurt and I had to go out into left field. And the first batter found out that I couldn't catch. And then 19 batters later, I was to leave the field.
It's like, can you just throw the ball to us? You don't even have to catch it, Paul. Just get the ball in so we
I
can.
was throwing my glove at it. If the ball was flying over my head, I'm throwing my glove up trying to stop it.
It's freestyling. You're freestyling.
I was a freestyled athlete. That would be what you would say of me.
Well, luckily you do play music better than that. So that's you're like,
Well,
yeah, come see me at the coffee shop. We'll be fine.
music, and I found out that you got hit a lot less in music. Like I was the guy who was playing Little League. Nobody told me to put my hand in front of the glove to stop the grounder.
Right.
So here's the ball. It's coming at me. I'm on second base. The one time they put me there, I put my glove down. That ball rolled straight to the glove, straight up my arm, and straight in my face, man.
Man.
Take me out. I don't want second base. Second base.
The grounders thing when I was young too. You never know where that ball, because it'd take that last bounce, hit you in the face. Yeah, it was always yeah, I didn't like that. I was better at basketball.
Getting hit in the face is still to this day one of my least favorite things to have happen.
Yeah, especially with a baseball.
With anything.
Yeah. No, but a baseball, come on. You're right. I mean, anything. A Coke can would probably suck too, but.
Yeah, anything really. Beads.
Beads.
At a parade, a big pile of beads.
So you're not into it when they throw those big mounds of beads. You ever get hit when they're throwing to somebody else and you're not looking and you're talking
my
to somebody?
friend who's a ER doctor, Michelle Campisi, her first Mardi Gras, we were on the porch watching the parade, and she's still, to this day, it's been like 16 years, and she still kind of holds it against me a little bit. And I love her, and I know she loves me, but we were standing on my brother's porch watching Demian, and a big old bag of beads was coming straight at my face. And I did what I'd been taught to do my entire life in New Orleans, born and raised here. Ducked. The last second, I ducked. Well, innocent. She's from up north or something, and she's waving and smiling and thinks that it's safe to be at Mardi Gras. I ducked. She took it full in the face with her lip, man. And she's like, "Why didn't you tell me something?" I'm like, "Baby, you got to duck."
You're like, I didn't have time to tell you. And
They can move, man.
It was that save yourself mentality there, right? It's like, oh.
It's fun, but you got to be aware. You can't just be out there throwing your face as ammunition. Hit me.
Well, that's why you decided to join Bicus, I'm sure, so you could be the one throwing instead of the one at the. Well, what was the reason for joining Bicus? Was this something to do on Mardi Gras Day besides go see parades?
It was one Mardi Gras where Cowboy Mouth had played till 4 a.m. at the Rendon Inn, and I just was too tired to do anything. So me and Eddie Ecker and a couple of females that we knew at the time hopped on bikes and thought, we'll do this. This will be easy. And it was. We got through traffic. We got over the beads because I tried skating on Mardi Gras Day the year before, and you can't because of the beads. And then I don't know who, but somebody had acid, and it was Mardi Gras Day 30 years ago. And
seemed like a good idea.
Well, riding a bike's not as easy then.
I would imagine.
And then eating is near impossible.
Mainly because you don't want to eat once you start.
No, you have desire.
Yeah, it's like.
But it changed that particular Mardi Gras Day.
So you did eat that particular Mardi Gras Day.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
We all got into a restaurant, and the waiter came, and we looked at him, and we burst into laughter and said, "Happy Mardi Gras," and went about our way.
Gotcha.
And tipped.
And I see. At least you remembered to tip. You probably gave him the, who knows what you tipped him.
$100.
That's what I was just thinking. It's like, here, take it all. I don't need any of this. I'm not eating. Did you drink while you were on acid?
Oh, Mikey, it's all so long ago. Who knows these things?
I just wonder.
Let's let the past be the past.
So you do know. I see. I see. He knows what happened. Somebody else out there in our audience might know what happened too. Who knows? One of them might have been there.
No,
not so much.
No, 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 because my friends don't watch us.
Yeah, tell me about it. I've been telling people, yeah, I do a show with Paul. Oh, really? You've been doing a
Yeah,
show? Yeah.
I've told my family, I've told my friends. They're like, yeah, yeah, I know about it.
Yeah, it's
I
not
don't
my
have time.
thing.
I'm working then. I'm like, it's on all day. But I'm working all day, really, and all night I sleep and do anything else but watch that.
I've heard I don't like coffee, and I'm like, well, you don't have to drink it.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's well, not only that, it's like, what do we do sitting here talking about coffee the whole time? Did you know that the medium roast and the darker the roast, the less caffeine? You know, we're not doing all of that stuff.
No, no.
Um,
In fact, we try. I think we try and do a good job of not talking about really anything qualitative.
I think we're very good at that.
I think that we try to talk about nothing and try to get a couple of laughs out of talking about relatively nothing. And occasionally, quality slips in there if you're talking about your daughter or, maybe talking about spirituality or something. So, sometimes some quality slips in, but it's quite accidental.
I tell you, here's quality. If we have any listeners out there who know people who roast coffees, I want a signature blend for us. I want another cup of coffee signature blend.
I like it, Mikey.
I think that, whoever roasts coffee, this is an opportunity for them to cash in on us, right? This is, it's all for them, of course.
It's all for them.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll get a bunch of people that'll buy another cup of coffee. We'll sign it if they want. I don't care.
And anybody that has like a coffee mug concession, like these are great mugs that we got.
Yes.
But if we had a cup of coffee with your logo, another cup of coffee on it,
you know what? Actually, that's probably a smart thing to do.
we could be moguls.
You guys
because
let us
we have
know.
80 people who watch us. If 80 people bought a cup, man, we could have lunch or something.
Wow, just like that. I mean, we're turning the page. Hey, by the way, if anybody would like another cup of coffee mug, we could easily put something together for you guys.
I don't know what you're talking about, but okay.
Yeah, it's easy. I think they have services now that make cups. Like, you just sign up the service, give them the logo, whatever. Like, they handle it all.
I'm sure if you can think of it, there's a service for it.
Yes.
That's just the way the world is today. Try and think of the strangest fucking thing you can think of as a service for it.
It is funny because I was thinking about when we were kids, because I watched The Last Blockbuster.
I want to see that.
It's pretty good. It's fun because it's obviously, down that road, but nostalgia.
Yeah.
But it reminded me.
Strongest drug there is.
Yes, it is. And it reminded me about, going to get the movies. And by the way, did you know that Netflix offered for Blockbuster to buy them? And at the time, it was like some ridiculously low $5 million or something like that.
Wow.
Blockbuster could have bought Netflix early on for some ridiculously low number. But in all their foresight, they thought it was not a good idea. They were going to try to do their own.
Sometimes people have the best of intentions and they just don't have the vision technologically. When the switch was going from beta to VHS, I was strictly beta, man. Beta has better quality. Beta's the best. Beta's going to last for years. Beta was gone in 6 months and VHS had taken over everything. My movie collection was worthless.
Because it was expensive too, beta. That was the problem that they had.
I equated expensive with good.
Yeah, no, you're right. It still is. I think there's that rule of fast, cheap, and good. Pick two, because you're only going to get two out of that.
Yeah.
But what was I thinking about with the Blockbuster dang video? I lost it. Oh well.
It's a good time to have lost it because we have come to the end of our day together.
Wait, before we go, real quick.
Okay.
Did you see Whiplash?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Is that the drum movie?
Yes, the drum movie.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I wanted to kick that guy's ass, but it was a great movie.
Yeah, but and actually, I liked. The guy is obviously, he won an Academy Award, I think, for Best Supporting Actor.
Academy Award, and yet he still does commercials.
Yes.
It's a different world we live in, Mikey.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy, obviously. Yeah, he's going to be in the new Spider-Man, too.
He sounds like a really cool guy and a good actor. But I have to tell you, man, if I got my Academy Award, that'd be it. I'd be the car commercials. Thank you very much. I enjoyed the money. I'm going to go home and polish the award.
Well, we know you're going to get an Emmy for your detective. It's still coming.
I was watching the show and the previews for the last season of NCIS New Orleans, and I had a little pain in my heart thinking of the opportunity they wasted by just using Detective Dillard for one episode. The chemistry with me and Scott Bakula in that one scene was just incredible. Plus, you had a detective with a real New Orleans accent. I think the show going off the air definitely clears the decks for a possible spin-off for Detective Dillard. I'm going to try and get in touch with Scott Bakula's people to see if he'd make an appearance. So far, they keep hanging up. I think is a bad connection or something, but I'll keep trying.
Yeah, but I'm already thinking storylines, right? So maybe it turns out that Dillard doesn't even realize this, but he's like second cousins to the people that own Dillard's. So he doesn't even realize he's rich, right? So he's been a detective his whole life. Suddenly he comes into money. Does he remain a detective?
Yeah, but it's Metri money. So he's got to leave New Orleans and go to Metri. There's a whole other emotional story arc there.
Yeah. Maybe he starts working for the JP and just it ain't really happening,
They don't let him wear the same suits,
It could be, and he's got to be rougher on people, for stupid stuff. It's just...
I didn't say that. He did.
He did. All right, real quick before we go, let's see. The best way to get Jazz Fest is also on a bike. Oh, yes, you're right. Getting the Jazz Fest.
Oh, yeah. I've told people that for years, man, because you don't have any parking to worry about. And plus, the weather's great. And then you just start catching the mood, like as the closer you get, everybody's in a great mood and they're just smiling and laughing and drinking. And it's great. And now there are actual bike paths on Esplanade Avenue. So you don't have to worry about getting killed.
Yes, I know. Well, I still want to. Sometimes I want to kill the people on bikes. I'm sorry. When you're riding down Carrollton, I know. I wouldn't. Obviously, I'm gonna.
I'm a bike person, and I appreciate the bike lanes. I appreciate the areas where they've made it where the bike's on the inside and the parked cars are on the outside. That makes more sense.
Yeah, I don't like them going next to the parked cars because people can open their doors, and then I think I even know people that have had that happen where people open their doors suddenly, and then you're like,
perfect world, man. Yeah. It's not a flawless world. We do our best.
Yeah.
To live and let live, Mikey.
I want to talk about Whiplash when we come back next show because
Eddie, that's going to be. You sure you want to do that?
Well, yeah. I wasn't going to mention this, but Eddie's already on here. He insults me in one post, and then right down 2 posts later, he says, "Oh, am I going to be on Wednesday? I can remember some story that he can remember, maybe the first Mardi Gras or something like that." And
that is your relationship with Eddie for as long as you've known him and I've known him. He insults you. Somehow the insult makes you laugh, and then he says something nice, and then you like him again. But the next insult's never far away.
Yeah, I'm still considering all of everything you just said.
And, I would like his take on the movie Whiplash, because I personally would never work that hard to be good at a musical instrument, nor would I let somebody yell at me without me yelling back, of course.
But I did, especially in this day and age, I understood Fletcher, where he was coming from, and I understood what he was trying to accomplish. And I've seen a lot of people, they have all these, when you see people do essays on movies or whatever, and I haven't seen one essay where I thought people got the point. It was really kind of funny.
We'll talk about the point on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, at least where I see it.
All right.
And so, and that's a show, guys. Look, Allison says, I knew Eddie would pipe up with I know what happened. So, people are starting to know our
cast of characters.
Our cast of characters, that's right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We had a lot to get out today. We hadn't been around for a week. It
was fun.
We felt energized.
Yeah.
And thanks again for coming.
That's it.
We'll see you on Wednesday.
See you on Wednesday.
See you guys on Wednesday. And who knows, I might even have my cup by Wednesday. It could happen. We're going to see.
We'll see. It could happen.
It could happen. Anything can happen in this crazy world. And here comes the music. Bye, guys. See you next time.
Well, I used to keep my money in a cookie jar. It was shaped like a cat, it was a present from my brother. I read a lot of books, but I couldn't see between the lines. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. and it used to be red, and it used to be blonde. Truth is, her hair changes color all the time. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. Well, I'm staring at her shoulder, but it's not what I see when I hear two fellas fighting in the booth across from me. So I wipe away the ashes from an empty counter seat, and I wished I wasn't homesick, I wish I was asleep. Well, I hold her like a blanket up against my chin, and I need her like I need another pack of chewing gum. Well, we used to be like that, but now we're like this all the time. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind. I'll have another cup of coffee if you don't mind.